Hi, guys. Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Double Shot of Steelers presented by FanDuel. And this one's going to be a struggle for a whole lot of reasons. And at the bottom of that list is football at the moment. But football is what we talk about here. And football is something that the Steelers need to get a whole lot better at between now and Foxborough. I'm putting that mildly. I think this is, at the moment, a bad team. I don't have anything better than that to say about it. I expected when I left Acrisure Stadium yesterday that the film would be even uglier than the live reality. I didn't realize to what extent that would become a prophecy, but it was. This film is gross. And it's not even one phase. It's not even two phases. It's three phases, all three, with the exception of the two kickers, the specialists. Okay, so that's three people, three specialists. Jaylen Warren, give me another name. I'm not sure I can come up with one. This isn't good. This isn't good from the player standpoint. This isn't good from the cultural / intangible standpoint. This isn't good from the coach's standpoint. I am not one of those people who sounds all the sirens when the Steelers lose. I've had games that I've covered, lots and lots of them actually over the years, where I've said, listen, they played really well and they lost. Remember the Philadelphia game last year? Boy, I took a lot of heat for that too. I thought the Steelers gave everything they had against the Eagles, a team that would obviously end up being pretty good. And I said so because I liked a lot of what they did. I liked their execution. I liked their attitude. I liked some of the schematics involved. It's not just one game. So don't give me that. It's not one loss. This is two games now, but it's also a lot of recurring patterns from recent seasons, but in particular, the last 5 games of the 2024 season. Mike Tomlin can say until he's purple in the face that I don't really think about comparing and, this is a new journey and all this other stuff. He doesn't get to be the arbiter of this. None of us do. And if anybody individually looks at it and says, this looks like the team that got gashed in Baltimore. This looks like the team that wasn't able to get anything done on first downs for 5 years. This looks like ... fill in the blank. You're perfectly within your right to do that because you've got the wind at your back. This is a bad football team. What we're going to try to do today is to turn the page. We're going to look ahead to this coming week, and we're going to say, all right, this went very poorly, but what has to change for the Steelers to be way, way, way better than this when they get to Foxborough? And that means not just finger wag, fire so-and-so, dump this guy, dump that guy, regret overdrafts. I'm talking about between now and this coming Sunday in Massachusetts. What has to change? And we're going to try to get specific on that. If you're here in our live chat, we're going to ask you for your help in that. I don't want all the usual where this is going to be a different kind of program. It's Monday. We're looking ahead. We're looking ahead. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Chris Halleck.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Welcome back. We're joined as we always are, this segment by Chris Halleck. We're also grateful for the new sponsorship that we have from our partners at FanDuel. They've been terrific with us, and we're looking forward to a long and mutually fruitful relationship with them. This is football season, and this is the time of year where you can start having fun with all kinds of things peripherally. You can enjoy the moment, enjoy the game, not necessarily the one yesterday. It is time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you still think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl, or if you've been turned off to that concept, lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so you can join in on all the action. How'd you end up doing over the weekend, Chris?
Hit every leg of my parlay except for one. So.
Oh, I know which one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Darnell. He got targeted once.
And it was on a 2-point conversion. I had a Darnell anytime touchdown. I'm going to hit on one of those eventually.
Oh, no, not the 2-pointer. He was targeted in the regular game, too.
Oh,
that little flip out to the flat. He looked really frustrated, too, that it didn't connect for what.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. But, yeah, he made a nice play on nice route on the 2-point conversion. Might as well get him involved,
That's what we were talking about in training camp and preseason. Like, all you have to do is just throw it up. He's going to catch one of them. And so that's what I thought was going to happen at one point. It happens on a 2-point conversion instead of a touchdown. So parlays don't count for that. So you gotta guess it right or you don't get it. So it is what it is. That's part of the fun, though.
What has to happen, Chris?
A lot.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Oh my gosh. So the thing is, I'm getting to the point now, and we're so early in the season that it almost seems like it's an overreaction to get to this point this quickly. But I'm getting a little like I'm not trying to say like frustrated, like I'm personally frustrated, but it's frustrating to see this team continue to do lack of innovation.
They just do the same things, Chris. There's everything is just hunker down.
Everything.
Go ahead.
I was going to say everything to me, and this might be what you're talking about, is just we have really good players, and we're just going to trust that those players are going to be better than your players. The NFL is too good for that. Yeah, you can have some really good players, and the Steelers do. But if you don't have any innovation, any creativity, if it's just we're going to run straight up cover one and we're going to we're just going to man everybody up, you're going to get gashed. And the Steelers did. And today's Chalk Talk's not out yet. It'll be out shortly after today's show ends. But I went through and I really looked at the issues on third down where they were just allowing those chunks over the middle of the field. And that was the biggest issue to me we're just going to line up and trust our guys to beat their guys. We're not going to try to disguise anything. We're not going to try. It's just, here you go. This is what we're doing. And we're going to beat you at it. It's macho mentality. And there are too many smart coaches in the league that can exploit that. And if the Steelers continue to do this, they're not going to go anywhere.
I mean, how macho are you when you're getting trampled? How macho are you when you're getting bowled over? How macho are you when you're tripping over your own guys? How often did that happen defensively?
I mean, not only that, but I somehow missed it yesterday. But going back through the film, and then I ironically saw it later on Baldy's breakdowns on social media. He's so good at what he does, by the way. Peyton Wilson got trucked by the fullback into Patrick Queen.
Yeah, and they both went down. And the Seahawks fans are lighting this thing up with and they should.
Yeah,
with memes all over the place about the one block that took out both of the Steelers' inside linebackers. That's not great. to say the least. This is what this is all about. I'll tell you what today's show is not all about. It's not about finger wagging and whatever this is for Matt Wright. You said this defense would be special. I've never said any such thing. I said that they said it will be special. We're reporters. We're reporting. So when they say it and then we say, hey, they think they're going to be special, you don't come here to finger wag the reporters. We didn't do anything wrong yesterday. Okay. Yeah. This team did a lot right. And this team down here did a lot wrong. And what we're talking about here today, instead of just pounding the same issues, we're looking forward. We're going to try to get people to look ahead as to what actually needs to change. I get that everybody's still mad, but Ashley's going to get us going here. She says we can start off by not living in our fears. Then we can next use players that we should be using and not players that we shouldn't, especially in dumb positions. They don't belong. Ashley doesn't specify there, but what might she mean there, Chris?
Well, I mean, that could mean featuring Jaylen Warren. That could be one thing, like really, really featuring him. Yes, he had more snaps and touches than Kenneth Gainwell yesterday, but like make him the feature back. I'm not saying he's Saquon Barkley, but you saw what happened when Jaylen Warren touched the football. That 65-yard catch and run should be more than enough to be like, we're going to get this guy at least 20 touches a game. At least. Like that should be your bottom line. And if you don't think that he can handle that kind of a workload, then you shouldn't have signed him to an extension. Period. Like
he won't let it go. Again, this is we're going to we're going to call stuff like it is. It's what we do here all the time. Okay. Yeah. He won't let it go. Whatever it is that Mike Tomlin has in his head about Jaylen Warren, he won't let it go. It's the Mason Rudolph syndrome. Mm-hmm. Where he just puts something in his head and it is there to stay. Nothing that Jaylen does can change his mind. He believes that Jaylen is some sort of constant injury risk. And when I asked yesterday, in the most positive way possible, because I don't know how else you could frame a question about Jaylen Warren, did he show you enough to convince you that he can handle more? And I got back, it's certainly, which is a standard answer for him now. Mm-hmm. But then he proceeds to say something about what kind of health he was in this week. And he came up to me and told me he was ready. So when has Jaylen had a parenthesis after his name? All summer long. Is he waiting for Jaylen to get hurt to prove himself right? Is he trying too hard to avoid Jaylen getting hurt? And somehow he's convinced that Kenny Gainwell is at least durable. So let's have Kenny Gainwell run for 1.5 yards per carry. Okay, looking forward. Yes, Jaylen needs to play. Jaylen needs to play like a number one running back. And that means he had 18 total touches.
I'm trying to remember exactly how many carries he had yesterday. I think it was 12. I have the game book right over here. Hold on.
And then the targets and so forth. But yes, that's what
18.
Okay. 18 total touches. Now, I don't expect everybody to be Le'Veon Bell and have 30, 35 touches. Lev was a freak. Okay. Yeah. But Jaylen can be somebody who gets you, 25. That seem fair? I get when you have to take him off the field after the 65-yard catch and run. Okay. And do you have to bring Kenny Gainwell on? I guess, because it looks like Caleb Johnson is wrecked. And I was saying that before the special teams gaffe.
Yeah.
So you have to give him a blow. You have to give him something else. But call a play where you throw to the tight end or something. Don't pretend that you have another running back, at least not in the moment. But then get Jaylen back out there.
Yeah.
Or why is he being bubble wrapped? These games matter.
Yeah, no, they absolutely matter. And I think the way that they handled that, I think that second and goal, because the first and goal, Jaylen Warren stayed on the field after that play, but then he gave way for Gainwell. Then they just run it up the middle with him. That's like, I don't know what the thought process is there. I feel like with Aaron Rodgers and the various targets that you have in Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith and DK Metcalf that you've got enough tricks up your sleeve to call something better than just a run up the middle. Especially if you know Jaylen Warren's not going to be on the field. So, and yeah, with Caleb Johnson, I mean, I really, for almost for his sake, I'm not even talking about the team's sake. For his sake, I hope that he can get right, because right now he is already kind of on his way to entering Lima Swede territory in terms of a guy who just comes in and just has certain expectations and just not only never lives up to them, but like falls flat on his face doing so. That was rough. And yeah, I think at least for the time being, even before what the absolute debacle, he has proven he does not belong in kick returns. And so I would like to think that
I don't know
Tomlin
what they
has
were
to plan
thinking.
for it.
The rookie kick returner in the first place. It's almost as if the role didn't matter to anybody. But then to watch him, not this week, but this week and last week, and every other time he had an opportunity to return a kick, there's nothing there that made you think, oh, yeah, he's getting there. He's progressing. He's getting closer. If anything, it just kept looking worse and worse and worse. Josh Cook asks, excuse me, you've covered this team a long time. Tell me when Tomlin has ever changed anything. I can tell you that he's changed things whenever they've been imposed from above, meaning from Art Rooney. When Rooney will say, do this, or take Todd Haley as your coordinator and protect Ben, there's been change that's been implemented. But if you're talking about week to week, if you're talking about something that makes it look like Tomlin had previously made a mistake, you're out of luck. I mean, it just doesn't happen. That's not to say that the Steelers have never changed anything. I'm not being a weirdo here. I'm saying that when it comes down to something that looks like it would reflect poorly on the head coach, especially in the moments, I'll tell you, all you're going to get this week out of practice is run harder, block harder, tackle harder. It's going to be just hunker down. The name of the game, ... That's what you're going to get, a lot of that sort of stuff. Standard is the standard and everything else. This didn't get much attention, at least to my knowledge. But Chris, I think it's the morning of the games when on Steelers.com, there's the weekly interview that Bob Labriola, veteran writer there, does with Tomlin. It's just Lab and Tomlin, nobody else. It's one-on-one. It's late in the week. So it sometimes has some, and plus Bob, he's really good at this. He asks questions that not everybody else would. So you'll see some really cool answers on occasion. One of the things that Bob got from Tomlin this past week, that I read it Sunday morning, actually on the train heading over to the stadium, was that Tomlin said he wasn't going to change anything from the Jets game. To just said it out loud, just blurted it. And, that's just the way this is going to be. We feel like if we do this, this, and this, and this, there's no reason to be changing things. I don't know how you can say that after that game against the Jets. I don't know how you can say that and mean it after watching everything that went wrong. Now, there were some things, obviously, that went right, 4 offensive touchdowns and so forth. But maybe he just feels more comfortable with Lab and just tells it to him like it is instead of giving the fake certainly things.
Yeah, and again, I think that just goes when you hear, some of the things that have been said about this team from players who have played against them over the years, Julian Edelman and other, cases, and they talk about, some of the tells or some of the weaknesses, the predictability that they see from this team. And we're talking both sides of the ball here. We're talking offense and defense. Obviously, it was a lot easier for teams to decipher what was going on when Matt Canada was offensive coordinator versus Arthur Smith, because Arthur Smith is a better coordinator. But still, overall philosophy, you can see it when you go and you watch the defense in particular. It lacks creativity, it lacks innovation, and that's something when we talk about when the Steelers have had great defenses, and I mean really, really, really great defenses, they have had not only great coaches but innovative schemes, innovative defense.
pioneering schemes. That's more than innovative. That means they're just trying stuff that nobody's tried, or they're taking it to a level that nobody's taking it. And by that I mean schematically. They put intelligent players on the field. They trusted them to react intelligently. There became a relationship. Look, I don't want to compare Terrell Austin to Dick LeBeau. We can start getting into silly season here. But part of the reason that you saw the players love LeBeau and that it became so mutual was that there was that trust. What do they say about love in life? They say 90% of love is trust. Mm-hmm. These guys had it, and they had intelligent people all over the place. I'm not suggesting this team doesn't have that. But when you're talking about a Ryan Clark, a Troy Polamalu, James Ferrier, James Harrison, these were off the charts intelligent players. Mm-hmm. And LeBeau knew how to get the most out of each of them, but he also respected the opponent enough to know that I'm not just going to line up and beat you. LeBeau and these guys, remember the way they would talk, Chris, before they would face a rookie quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it was like the poor kid was being served to the Lions and not the Detroit ones.
Yeah.
And that's because they took pride in the intellectual part of it. We're going to baffle him. He's not going to have any idea what he's looking at. You watch this defense right now. You know exactly what they're doing in every setup. And then comparatively, and I've brought this up a couple of times, these guys faced the 49ers last week, and they were talking about what San Francisco did and Robert Saleh did to confuse them.
Yep.
And then they face this, and it's candy from a baby. They threw the same pass over the middle, Chris. It felt like 30 times in a row.
Well, and the thing is, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds on the Chalk Talk because I want you to watch the Chalk Talk. But, just one little nugget that I can give from that is, a lot of the time when you talk about like basic concepts, like basic fundamentals, a cornerback like a Jalen Ramsey will line up outside. Like, I'm not talking about out like he's facing the outside receiver. I mean, he will angle his hips where his butt is to the sideline, and he is literally playing outside leverage on the receiver, because if you want to force the receiver anywhere, you want to force him to the inside because that's where your help is. If you get beat to the outside, there's nobody over there, especially when you're in a situation where there's only one high safety. And that's exactly what he did. And yet there's no help in the middle. He's forcing the receiver to help when it's not even there. And is that just poor schematics? Is that poor execution? Is it both? Either way, it stinks. It's terrible defense is what it is. And if that's why, whether it was 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 14, the Seahawks were getting exactly what they wanted. And even if they weren't converting on those 3rd and 12s and 3rd and 14s, they were getting to 4th and 1 and had an opportunity to push their way to a first down or to stupidly punt on 4th and 1 when they should have just gone for it.
Could do the whole show on that.
No joke. But I'm just saying, sometimes like you could think like it's a really convoluted answer. No, it's not. They are literally just lining up, expecting their really great players. And I know there's a lot of like people want to latch on to who's to blame. It's TJ Watt's not getting to the quarterback, and Jalen Ramsey's getting beat too often to the inside, and Patrick Queen's not making enough plays in big moments, and all this stuff. You can try blaming the players, but there's no denying the fact that this team, this defense, has a great collection of talent. And we've already seen all those guys that I mentioned make some great plays in these 2 games. So it's not like the players aren't great. Again, the NFL it's just too good of a league to expect that you can just assemble an all-star team together. And I'm saying what the Steelers have, but to think that you could just have the highest paid defense and have this great collection of talent and just think that you're just going to beat just off of pure, I'm going to beat you. You have to have innovation. That's
actually kind of what we heard with the 3 coverage people. And we did say this at the time. It was exciting. It was intriguing.
Yeah.
And if it worked, it would have been electric. Here's what you actually have. First off, they've been legitimately the defense. There's no way we can get through this episode without highlighting that they have for real been hit by injuries. That's not excuse making. That's an actual fact that's backed up by things that are printed on paper. They have 5 guys that are out right now. 5 out of 11 is a lot of your guys. At the same time, the whole thing felt like, this is awesome. We don't have to think of anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. Because we're just going to tell Jalen Ramsey to just, hey, Jalen Ramsey, go be the best Jalen Ramsey that you can be. Oh, okay, cool. Pin the ears back and go get him. Well, they've moved him around to multiple different positions. I'm not sure to what intended effect, but you've seen that he's had an impact. Maybe that's just because of his being Jalen Ramsey. Maybe that has something to do with schematics. But when I see opponents, or for that matter, when I see other teams around the NFL in other games, I see people darting in and out. I see disguises. And I look at the Steelers, I see the inside linebackers back 6 yards off the ball. Nobody's budging anywhere. Every once in a while, TJ would go flip to the other side, but you didn't see TJ stunting into the middle where they were very, very, very obviously running the football as well. So does TJ, is he required by NFL, law to take this route to get to the running back? No, he could go this way. Is Peyton Wilson required to come in from behind and tackle everybody from behind? All of his tackles, I swear, every career tackle he's made, other than that sack yesterday, has been chasing somebody down from behind. It kind of tells you that you don't have people where they need to be. But then that would involve, changing things. And as Anthony says here, Tomlin is too arrogant to admit mistakes. Remember, the theme of today's program is the coming week and what it is that you actually want to get changed. Nakia follows through on the theme of the week, and she says, get Derek Harmon back. Well, that's kind of not in your control, but okay. Yeah. And start moving this defensive line around. I'm not sure what she means by that. I see. Keanu Benton is not a nose tackle right now. No, he can't be getting pushed around the whole game. Chris, when you're looking at the defensive line, first off, just general thoughts on yesterday.
They still got pushed around way too much. I thought Cam Hayward played better this week than he did in week 1. But overall, as a unit, they got pushed around. There were even times where Seattle didn't even bother double teaming Benton. That's a problem. That's a major, major problem.
Y.A. Black.
But Isaiah Loudermilk he got injured, but before he got injured, he got thrown around pretty badly. So it's just, and Twan asks here, can 96 and this Daniel Akawale play nose tackle? Yes, he's actually the backup nose tackle technically on the depth chart, and yes, he will play there. But the defensive line got pushed around. I mean, there were plenty of times in which either Queen or Peyton Wilson, for as bad of a game as I thought he played yesterday, still there were plenty of times, and too many times, where either Queen and or Wilson had dudes in their laps right away. And it's really hard to play linebacker when your defensive line is either letting a guy up to take away that linebacker, or the actual teammate, your teammate, like a Benton or a Loudermilk, is pushed into your lap. It's really hard to play that way too. So
Brent Haynes says there's a little bright side that I can see. The interception in the end zone was a discipline mistake by Calvin Austin. That's correct. There's 7 points. And CJ there, and CJ, what is CJ? Does he mean KJ?
Maybe he's meaning KJ.
He means Caleb Johnson. Yeah, that's with a K. There's 7 there. That also makes it a tie ball game. And all we beat ourselves. I'm sorry, no, Brent. We're going to respectfully, hopefully, disagree. At least me and you are on this one. I feel this is 2 weeks in a row that the Steelers' opponents have been the better general performers.
Yeah.
Meaning the more consistent play after play after play. Now, I am not going to be that guy that takes away credit from either the other Jets or the Seahawks. I don't care what happened to the New Jersey guys yesterday. That's not my business. I'm talking about how they played on the field in front of us in East Rutherford. I feel like, and in fact, this is where I thought you were headed when you began making your point, because Aaron Rodgers made a similar point yesterday, which was that just from the offensive standpoint, if that pass makes it through, according to Rodgers, and he has a better view than anybody on the planet, that's a touchdown to Freiermuth. According to Rodgers, that was going to be a touchdown.
Yeah.
Cal ran outside of his area, tried to get the ball, disrupted it. Okay, unlucky. A couple other situations that could have been something offensively. And as he pointed out, we were tremendous in the red zone a week earlier. We weren't this time. These things balance out. And if any of you saw his answer that he gave me, in which he looked a little bit annoyed, it's week 2. Come on. It's week 2. So he seems to have a better perspective on this than a lot of other guys got. But as Chris and I can both attest, and I think Chris was beginning to get at this earlier, the frustration in there, the exasperation in there is real. Meaning in the locker room.
I mean, Patrick Queen refused to answer 2 questions about what the problems are.
Yeah, see, he wouldn't have been a good guest today.
No. I mean, no.
He would have been a great guest today.
Well, yeah, but no, he would have. But I'm just saying, like he doesn't even want to talk about it. Or like, this is week 2. We're seeing stuff that we saw like in December last year, and we're already seeing it now. It's September. We haven't even gone to Ireland yet. Like, this is bad. And to make a further point on the whole, like, macho, I'm going to beat the guy across from you. I'm going to let people try to guess this before anybody, and DK, you can have the first guess. Guess where the Steelers rank in overall blitz rate in the entire league.
Well,
as we sit right now.
You're going to say that it's really high. I know that because we've talked about it.
It's higher than people think it is.
What is it? Go ahead.
41%, which ranks 3rd in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm sure it was going to be high, and at the same time, there are different variations of blitzes. There are different types of blitzes.
That's
and lots and lots of them.
Yeah, that's strictly pass blitzing. That is blitzing against when the team is throwing the football. But I'm just saying, like, that almost goes into the whole, because a lot of people think, well, if you just blitz more, you'll get to the quarterback more, you'll have more success. Sometimes you blitz, like, what's the phrase? Something about to spite your own face, whatever the cliche is. Like, you're doing something just to do it, just because you're like, hey, we're gonna blitz, we're gonna blitz more. It's also got to be calculated. You're not just gonna blitz for blitzing's sake.
It's also got to be timed well, and by that I mean picking your situation. And one of the things that happened yesterday that was really exceptionally ugly was that the Steelers gave up chunks of yardage, but they gave up chunks of yardage, 3rd down and stuff. That's 3rd and 19 and everything. The Steelers, according to one
for Chalk Talk today, just wait.
The Steelers defense, according to one of the commenters on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app today, I copied this and saved it for you, gave up 18 plays of 10 plus yards, 18 to the Seahawks. And 4 of those plays went for more than 20 yards, none of which sufficiently describes that one rushing touchdown that the Seahawks had, the 19-yarder at the end, in which it was like, I mean, Peyton Wilson goes running into somebody. I can't remember. Oh, was
Eccles. It was Brandon
just levels Brandon Eccles. Boom. And this was after Wilson took the worst possible angle on this running back. This is part of what I'm talking about when I said this is not something that I picked up on live. This is something in watching film today. Having who's the running back? Longwell? What's his name?
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker, sorry. He comes around the left side, and there's a tackle to be made by Mr. I'm the best cover linebacker in the world with all that, supersonic speed and everything else that he's got. But the angle that he took here again, it's worth an entire chalk talk unto itself. This run, all the different things that went wrong the whole way down the field, including, dare I say, a lack of, want to.
Yeah, I do think that there are a good amount of players on this defense that are playing with a chip. They are playing
with a real purpose. They have to keep their jobs. Yeah. No, I don't think this is common.
No,
but I think there's a big difference between the way some of these guys are pursuing tackles and the way, let's say, Deshaun Elliott would be pursuing those tackles if he were out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair thing to assess because that's still a want-to thing. There's nobody on this defense that wants to make a tackle, a plain old tackle, the way Elliott does.
That's true. And again, like there are going to be some people that don't like to hear this, but Patrick Queen was 100% yesterday in terms of tackle opportunities. Every single time he had a chance to make a tackle, he made the tackle, and that's not guessing. That's it's statistically
supported.
Yeah. So like he was, but everybody's going to look at the one blitz where he didn't get Darnold and just going to say he had a bad game because of it. It's like there are. I'm just gonna say it, and we were talking about this even before the game. There are issues with this team that go way beyond who they have on the field. There are schematic issues with this team, particularly with this defense. The defense is.
It's a mess. It is a mess. And they know it. They're not going to say it in front of a camera or a microphone, but they know it.
Yeah. That's just going to be one thing where you're just going to have to trust us based off of the things that we've been told by some guys in that locker room. I have a feeling
it's not like this, too. No. Going back to the Patriots, they could go into Foxborough and tackle really well, and they could come up with some splash, and they could win the game. And they're going to want to turn that into a feel-good thing because you're just about to fly across the ocean and be on this wonderful stage that just naturally is going to have everything feeling elevated. And you don't want to go over there 1-2. There's something I've covered overseas games, not just Steelers, but Penguins. It's different. Mm-hmm. You've gone such a long way. I remember I did the Penguins game with the Predators in Japan in 2000. They played 2 games back-to-back in Tokyo against the Predators. They lost the first game. And I remember the urgency of these guys and the way Jaromir Jagr was getting them all pumped up and everything. The urgency of these guys. We did not fly 13 hours, a lot longer flight. We did not come all the way over here to go home 0-2, to start the season 0-2. You're going to see that's going to be in the back of their heads. It shouldn't be, probably, because it's still 2 games ahead. But so you might see them come up with something. But this is why Chris and I keep focusing on these foundational issues. These things have to be fixed. Even if they come in a loss, they have to play better than what they've played. They have to start, first off, acknowledging things that are wrong, communicating with each other about things that are wrong, and then getting out there and addressing them. But it has to be rock bottom. You have to start treating this like it's rock bottom because the season's only so long.
Mm-hmm. It seems like it's a long season, but man, I'm telling you what, before we know it, we're going to be packing away the Christmas tree and taking the lights down off of the house and everything. And it's going to go by in a flash. And we're going to be like, man, how did the Steelers get here? Or how
How about us flying back from Dublin and the Steelers being 1-3, and then there's the bye week. And the next thing you know, they're sitting there through now, 5-6 total weeks of the NFL regular season at 1-3, looking up at the rest of the division. And it's not just back to the lab.
No.
you've got to start looking at, hey, do we have the right left tackle out there? Do we have the right nose tackle out there? This is the stuff that was being brought up here earlier by Ashley. You have to make you're going to make changes. Make them now. You're waiting for the bye week. Don't wait for 1 and 3.
No, absolutely not. Especially when you have coming up on the schedule. Well, you have coming up on the schedule. The Patriots, that's not going to be easy, but the Vikings might be without JJ McCarthy. I
didn't know that. I saw him last night playing. What happened?
He came in to the facility. He went into the facility today, and he's dealing with an ankle issue. So he might be out.
But he finished the game, right? I was watching the end of that.
I believe so. Yeah, but
ask me who I was watching it with. By the way,
who were you watching it with? I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you.
You answered, because it'll sound even more ridiculous coming from you.
The Chicago Cubs.
I was watching it with the Chicago Cubs. they had the upper floor of Redbeards over here on 6th Street downtown filled up with Cubs, and the owner of the place, who knows us pretty well, he's also a subscriber to our app and so forth. He decides to play a little bit of a joke on me. My son and I go in there to eat. This was around, 10 o'clock last night. And I said, well, we can just take a seat down here. And he goes, no, you're going to want to go upstairs. Go ahead upstairs. I go upstairs, and it's the Cubs. There's Justin Turner, unmistakable. And then there's the Cubs.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, I saw McCarthy, and I thought, one of the things I thought is that the Vikings looked pretty good in week 1, looked pretty good, pretty bad in week 2. We saw a lot of that, incidentally, around the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
We really did.
The Jets are probably the biggest example of that. They were bad.
Oh, yeah, nobody here wants to hear that.
I'm just saying, like, when you talk about a team that looked the opposite of what they were in week 1, the Jets might be the biggest example of that. They were bad. It's making me regret getting Justin Fields in fantasy.
Michelle asks, what would you do right now if you were Mr. Rooney? The literal answer to that is nothing, because it's just not what he does. He doesn't believe in anything in season. I mean, anything. So what would you do if you were Mr. Rooney? Actual answer is nothing. If I possessed his body or whatever, or mind or whatever control, I would say I would do a lot of the stuff that I talked about doing at the end of last season. Just saying. I know it's only 1-1 right now. I know there's a long way to go here, but nothing has changed. Omar went out and signed some names. That's what's changed from last season to this season. That's what's changed. Omar signed some names.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, but
I do. I'll play devil's advocate here for just a second. You have the Patriots coming up. It's on the road, but it's a winnable game. They're
sure
not.
Is.
I do think the Patriots are definitely on the upswing. I don't think that it is some sort of like you walk in and you should be. You really, really should. Like this isn't like when they lost to the Patriots a couple of years ago.
No.
Not like that. If they lose, it's not good, but it's also that probably won't be the worst loss of the season. They are on the upswing, but then you have the Vikings possibly without JJ McCarthy. You have the Browns at home and their entire mess that they are right now. Then you have the Bengals,
who aren't on the road, Joe Burrow,
who are not going to have Joe Burrow,
and have the worst defense anywhere, even worse than this one.
Right, and so you have a legitimate opportunity to be through week 7 and only have this one loss to the Seahawks. We're talking. This is a legitimate. Literally can very, very well be 5-1. Based off of what is happening in the NFL. And if you are 2-4, that's when, if you're Mr. Rooney, you got to put your foot down and you be like, something's got to change.
Yeah, we're still going to talk about results though, but here's what happens. We saw the Steelers at 11-0, not all that long ago. And we knew exactly what that team was, and we knew exactly what they were headed for. And what do you know? As soon as they got to the cliff, They and Wile E. Coyote and eventually the Anvil came down over that cliff.
Yeah.
The Anvil in the form of Marquise's snap. That was never going to be a team that contended for anything. That was never going to be a team that would win a playoff game. What you saw with 10-3 was not all that different. I thought it was a little bit more convincing than 11-0. Mm-hmm. Not dramatically so, but you still saw 10-3, and you saw that run. By the way, they were good against the run defensively.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. People forget that now. Then everything falls apart because you still hadn't firmed up that foundation. They could be the 5-1 that you're talking about, Chris. They could. And they could still stink.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Because if they're not running and they're not stopping the run, I don't know. Like, I'm going to say this for a second time to try to be fair to everybody involved. They are missing a lot of players defensively. Mm-hmm. It's not excuse making. That's real. Those guys are legitimately not on the field, or they're on and off the field the way PQ was yesterday. If you picture the starting 11, the main 11, day one from St. Vincent plus Cam, you put everybody out there. Is this a defense that's going to stop the run? Is this a defense that's going to scare anybody? Is this a defense that's going to get the job done the way it was anticipated at St. Vincent? I don't have that answer, but my feeling right now is no, because the coaches very clearly don't see them schematically as this aggressive type defense. Not until they start taking risks, not until they start disguising, not until they start really getting after it.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily about being aggressive because they're blitzing, but it's just blitzing for blitzing's sake. It's third down, we're going to blitz.
Yeah. Push the blitz button.
Yeah, it's like, but again, like if you blitz and it's a bad scheme, or it's just again, it looks outdated. It lacks creativity, innovation. Disguising is completely gone. I mean, every now and then you'll do something like, oh, we're gonna show too high, but it's really cover one robber. Okay, high school teams do that. That's exactly what cover one robber is. Like the first time it's ever installed in football. Like that's exactly what it is. I mean, we're talking basic stuff here. We're not talking about what Brian Flores is doing with Minnesota. And yeah, I'm bringing that name up for a reason. This is, I mean, I don't know what has to happen. I don't. Maybe it has to be the first losing season. Maybe I don't know, but things do have to change because I think, and if anything, I think what this season's going to do is that I don't think, number one, you can add more talent to this defense than the Steelers have added this season or this offseason.
Right.
And like you've added all this talent and somehow you're worse.
You're worse.
And some people are earlier in the chat were like, well, these guys are old. I'm sorry. If you're telling me if you put TJ Watt magically on the Vikings right now, he's going to lead the league in sacks.
He's going to lead the league in everything.
He might break like his own sack record if he magically gets placed on the Vikings.
That's because Brian Flores would figure it out.
If he gets magically placed on the 49ers, I'm sorry, TJ Watt is going to be right up there, if not lead the league in sacks, because I would trust Robert Saleh to do some really, really good things with him. I think that there are some really, really good defensive minds in the game today, and I don't think what we're seeing from this defense is that the Steelers have that type of a mind running this defense, whether it's Terrell Austin or Mike Tomlin or both.
Jessica asks, do the players coming from the big college programs come from better playbooks? The answer to that is a screaming no. What the players come from is minor league football. It's an infinitely lower level of football. There is a perception because I think the TV networks have similar production values, and there's and there's game day, and there's the four dudes sitting around the big oval set, and there's stadiums with even larger capacities. than the NFL has, and people think, "Oh, this is comparable." Remember the nonsense about how Alabama could beat the 0-16 Browns? Do you remember that? Do you know what would have happened, my friends, if that Alabama team had faced those Browns? Do you understand that they would not have had enough ambulances to transport those college kids to the local hospitals? It would have been triage galore.
Yeah.
These are hardly even the same sports. When you and I were talking about this yesterday in the press box, Chris, when Caleb Johnson is looking for running room, he's looking for it in Iowa.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying when I say this?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
He goes sideways, and he goes at this certain pace that's almost deliberate. It's not that he's not running hard or trying hard. It's that he's kind of, let's see what I can find here, the way I used to in Iowa. I find anything, kid.
Yeah.
You got to do what number 30's doing. He's getting shot out of a rocket in the backfield. And by the way, Caleb Johnson was doing this in the early phases of the workouts this summer himself, and then he stopped. That's the difference here, Jessica. That's the difference. It's not playbooks. It's that it's a lower level of football. That's the adjustment that has to be made. Talk to Derek Harmon. Talk to Y.A. Black about this sort of thing. They're experiencing it right now. The speed of the game. Everything's happening faster around them. Everything is. And it's up to them not to react to it, but to be in sync with it. And ultimately, to be faster than it, to be better than it.
Yeah, but to even put the emphasis on the playbooks themselves, playbooks are way. I even talked with Jack Sawyer today, and I even prefaced the question of saying, like, NFL playbooks are more complex than college playbooks, and I got zero blowback from him.
Really?
I mean, like zero. I'm like, it's like I prefaced the question that way because it's common sense. It's just something that is known. There are not college. I'm not saying there aren't great college minds that can go to the NFL and build a really, really good NFL playbook. There have been plenty of coaches who have done that, but you can't you can't bring an NFL playbook with you to the college level and expect that entire group of college players, because you don't just have NFL prospects on those rosters. You also have guys who don't stand a chance of ever making it to the NFL, and they have to be able to understand what the heck they're doing. So you have to dumb things down. You can't have things be as detailed. And by the way, these kids, while they are getting paid now and getting paid pretty handsomely, don't just play football. They also have to go to class. They also have to actually go to school, while these NFL players literally are paid to do nothing but play football. So yes, college playbooks are not nearly as complex as NFL playbooks are. I have actually seen some NFL playbooks. I can't even imagine ever trying to remember all that stuff. As somebody who played football in high school, like I cannot. I
have to ask you, Chris, because Sawyer, since we're talking about him, put up some decent numbers yesterday. He also had his first NFL sack, which wasn't obviously in a position to celebrate excessively because it was late in the game. But what did you think of him? What did you think of how he looked out there?
I thought it was hit and miss. I thought he had some good moments, but I also thought his sack was, and he even talked about it today. In the locker room, he said there were 3 guys on TJ, which makes my job a lot easier. Which it does. But good for him on making the offense pay for that. If you're going to overload and put 2 or 3 guys over on TJ, somebody else has got to get home. And good for him on getting home, even if he goes in unblocked. But I thought he had some good moments. I also thought there were some times where he just still looks a little. He's got some work to do. And the thing is that it's going to be trial by fire now. This is going to be Mason McCormick coming in for James Daniels and because Alex Highsmith has a high ankle sprain. Who knows how long he's going to be out, but he was walking around in a walking boot today. He's not playing anytime soon. Jack Sawyer's going to have to play some
walking
snaps.
Boots are always worth an asterisk because that's all preventive too. I mean,
it is.
There's no reason to not be in a walking boot.
Well, and there's
if you have an ankle issue.
Yeah, well, there is a big difference between Alex Highsmith and Isaiah Loudermilk because both were in walking boots, but Loudermilk was needing crutches to get around.
Yeah, Loudermilk's hurt.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Highsmith, I don't think I would be very, very skeptical that Highsmith plays this week, but I also think that he could be back by the time they get back from the bye week. So he might only be out 2 games.
If Highsmith doesn't play, Sawyer will continue to get more snaps. Here's a little bit of Chris and Sawyer today over on the South Side.
NFL schemes are obviously a lot more complex than they are in college. How has that adjustment been of learning the playbook, learning all those specific details, and being able to apply that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been good because I have such a great group that I'm in, with TJ, Alex, and Herbig, and all these guys, and Cam Hayward, and guys who really care about helping us and getting better, so we can get out there and play to our best ability without having to think too much. So that they've helped a lot, and practice, the preparation that we do, really puts us out there to be able to go out there and play and not think too much.
Do you have a sense yet of how much things are going to ramp up for you with Alex's injury?
I have no idea. Like I just told them, Alex is one of the best players in the league too, and it doesn't change my. I'm just going about every way I can to help this team win. And whenever my number is called, just try to be out there and do my job to the best ability.
How tough are in-game adjustments when you deal with an injury like Alex early in the game and your snap count suddenly goes up and you're more involved maybe than you had initially planned to be?
Yeah, I mean, it just falls back to your training. What you've done, leading up to the week, preparing and just kind of always having that mindset of stay ready to when your number's called, to be able to get in there and help the team, and so there is no drop off. For me, that's just kind of how I try to go about it. And that's how I'm gonna continue to go about it.
It'd be nice if Jack Sawyer can grow up in a great big hurry. I was not floored by him at any phase of the summer participations, but then we always knew that Sawyer was going to be more of a floor guy than a ceiling.
Yeah.
That's not a shot. Everybody's got, different capabilities and so forth. But no one ever said, the way they did, for example, with Carson Bruner, no one ever said, oh yeah, special teams guy, totally a special teams guy. They think they've got something, and they thought so to the extent that they were willing to draft a position that's not at all of need.
But what's funny about that, like when I remember whenever he was drafted, people are like, another edge rusher. Like, they have plenty. Like, this is probably one of the reasons why you do it. This is one of the reasons, because Highsmith has had injury issues. Nick Herbig has had injury issues. Like, these are guys who have not been able to stay healthy consistently. And even TJ, to a certain extent, it's not been as bad. He had the one, what was it, the torn pec or whatever it was. He had the one injury that kept him out for almost half of a season. Other than that, it's been a game here and there. But this is why you do it. This is why especially whenever a guy is there. And the 4th round is a great place to get a player who has a high floor. Maybe you can develop some things, and just because he doesn't have the desired length or athleticism or whatever, some guys can. Alex Highsmith is actually a really good example. He wasn't a highly sought after prospect.
That's
but
correct. Out of Charlotte.
Yeah, he developed into a dang good player. Maybe Jack Sawyer is capable of doing the same thing, but the 4th round is a great place to get a high floor type of guy. And if you are at full strength, then he's your Preston Smith this year. That's his role. He can come in, he can help on run defense and stuff like that. But also when Highsmith gets injured and now you've got to throw him in and he's going to play more snaps than you anticipate, you got to hope he grows up fast.
We're going to take a couple more questions for looking forward again, try and look forward here for what we have ahead of us in Foxborough. I'm going to throw out myself here that I would love to see this team find a way to take the stuff that they've put on film that's been negative and erase it, even at the risk of overemphasis. And if that didn't make any sense to you, it did in my head. Here's what I mean in actual football terms. Stop the opponent from throwing across the middle. Because that the opponent is sitting there laughing right now, watching this film, saying, can you believe they never adjust? Are you guys watching this? They never adjusted to what Seattle did. They just kept throwing across the middle. Find a way. Put like 6 guys there. Have a sense of humor. Okay? But do whatever you have to do to change the script. And I know change isn't the cool word here, at least not with that head coach. But you have to do something to throw the other guys some kind of curve. Offensively, same thing. Find a way to plow, man. Now, I watched, who was it? Oh, yeah, you made a reference to it, Chris, earlier. It might have been before we went on. The dude from Seattle who leveled both Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, the fullback, yeah.
The fullback. Remember fullbacks?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can laugh at the Seahawks for utilizing a fullback. You can say, oh, how very 1965 of you. Or you can look at the result. It was devastation. It was something that emboldens your entire offense. Now, that person is not on this roster. Connor Hayward's not throwing those blocks.
No.
But think of some way, anyway, have Darnell run that block for you, where you say, whatever it is that we do, we're going this way. No matter what you saw on film, we can do this. We will do this. And by the way, on 4th and 1, you'd better run a play because we're going to get that yard for you.
Yeah. 2 teams that, by the way, that heavily feature fullbacks. Now, granted, they're really, really good fullbacks, but
really, I'm sorry. No offense to Wilson and Queen, but that was something to see.
Yeah, no, it was. But 2 teams that utilize fullbacks and have for a long time, it almost doesn't matter that they're really good, are the 49ers and Ravens. And those are some good football teams with some really, really good offensive minds in both Kyle Shanahan and Todd Monken. I'm just saying, like, just because like the fullback isn't the cool position anymore, or even a necessary position anymore, doesn't mean that you can't do some good things with one. And good on Seattle for finding different ways to lanes. I think that's something Arthur Smith would like to do. That's why they brought Usyk in the offseason. They were definitely interested, and I think that Arthur Smith would have definitely had some stuff in the playbook that would have featured that. That didn't work out. It is what it is, but this is a good time to try to find some kind of creativity, innovation, something that throws. It feels like it's the same song and dance every single week. That it just feels like the Steelers are behind the 8 ball on both sides of the ball, and that just should not be the case.
Angel gets the final question for the day. And before we get to it, appreciate all of the contributions that came in through the show. Appreciate everybody being here. I get that everyone's in a lousy state of mind and so forth, but there's, as Aaron Rodgers found his own special way to tell me yesterday, there's a lot of football left. Angel asks Chris and DK, can you guys see Terrell Austin getting fired during the season if this continues during this all-in season? Chris, you can have that one. I feel like it's set on a T.
I think if the wheels begin to fall off and they lose a lot of football games, I could see that happening. I used to think, no, there was no way. But then Matt Canada was fired midseason. I did not think that was going to happen either because there was no precedent for it. And since that's happened and happened very recently, if the Steelers are 2-4 after losing to JJ McCarthy's backup or to the Browns or to Joe Burrow's backup, whoever it is, and you're finding yourself on the wrong side of 500 after that, I could see Terrell Lawson being made, and Twan says it here, scapegoat fire. Like, I could see that being pretty much what happens.
Ultimate scapegoat fire.
Yeah.
Because listen, we people can debate who's the real defensive coordinator. They know it's different.
Mm-hmm.
They know, and they know that it would be scapegoating. It'd be the classic scapegoating because they know that it's Tomlin. They know that it's Tomlin's defense. You know how they know? Because Tomlin will occasionally blurt this out. He'll say it. Now, if Tomlin's not happy with the way the plays are being called from upstairs, that's different because that actually isn't Tomlin's domain.
No, he does not. He does not call plays.
Right. Just
That
so
is
that we're clear
Carol
about this. Yes.
Yep.
He's up there calling this or calling that. If Austin is terrible at this, and let's not rule that out. I'm being kind here. Let's not rule that out. It's still a poor reflection on the head coach because the head coach has to be demanding excellence of everybody in the organization. Water boy / girl on up, everybody, but especially of his two coordinators. He has to be demanding that. That's a head coach's domain.
Yep. The
head coach should be overseeing that. He shouldn't be waiting for Art Rooney to come along and fire this coordinator or fire that coordinator. My own position here is that if the Steelers really go south, if they really start losing some games, if they keep giving up 30 every Sunday, they still won't fire anybody. They won't change anybody. Don't kid yourself for a second. We'll see you guys. Come on. You didn't think I was going to agree with you, did you?
That's fine. I'm just saying, like, before the Canada firing, because I did not think that was going to happen. Before the Canada firing, I would have said no way. There's no way. They would wait until after the season, and it'll be one of those situations where his contract runs out and we just didn't renew his contract, and it's just one. No, I really, really think that if it gets bad enough, especially like if they go to Ireland and get embarrassed, like that's where like Mr. Rooney might step in.
I'm telling you, no.
I just think there's a slight chance that it happens.
Okay,
slight chance.
I'm not going
to my FanDuel Sportsbook to place the bet that it's going to happen. I'm just saying that I think there's a slight chance.
Oh boy. All right, guys, we'll hook up again tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate you always.